What's up guys, Jonah Mathis here, and today I have an incredible video for you guys. We're going to go over 6 different high-end Dolby Atmos and DTS:X compatible soundbar systems. We'll be covering various categories about each soundbar system, such as design, connectivity, remote controls, mobile apps, voice assistant support, music sound quality, surround sound quality, and my personal overall thoughts about each system at the very end. The soundbar systems that we'll be covering in this video are the Sonos Arc surround system, which includes a sub and 2 One SLs, the Samsung HW-Q950T, the LG SN11RG, the Vizio Elevate, the Nakamichi Shockwafe Ultra 9.2.4, and the JBL Bar 9.1. I spent a lot of money and hours upon hours testing each of these systems to put this video together. This was by far the most complicated and difficult video that I've ever produced. So I need you guys to smash the like button. This helps with the YouTube algorithm and makes it so my videos can be seen by more people. Now with all that said, let's get into the video. I won't get too detailed about each system because if I do, this video is going to end up being way too long and I don't want to waste anyone's time. So I'm going to cover the things I feel are most important about each category. So let's start with the design and components of each system. When talking about the Sonos Arc system, I'm referring to the Sonos Arc Soundbar, Gen3 Sonos Sub, and 2 Sonos One SLs. The Sonos Arc system is one of my favorite as far as design goes. The Arc and One SLs have a curved mesh grille that looks extremely high quality. The Sonos Sub has a unique O-shaped design with 2 force-canceling subwoofers in it. All of these components must be connected to a Wi-Fi network or be hardwired with an Ethernet cable. They use your home network to transmit the data between each other. The Samsung HW-Q950T system comes with a massive soundbar, subwoofer, and 2 wireless surround speakers, all in a single package. Throughout these components, you'll see a rough cloth covering that's bound to attract dust, hair, and other particles to stick to it. The surround speakers wirelessly connect to the subwoofer, then the subwoofer wirelessly connects to the soundbar. Wi-Fi is not required for these components to pair and operate properly. The LG SN11RG system comes with an even larger soundbar, subwoofer, and 2 wireless surround speakers in a size-efficient package. The soundbar and surround speakers have a stylish black metal grille covering the drivers and a sheared metal design elsewhere. The subwoofer has a fine cloth material covering it and looks quite nice. And all of the components are wirelessly connected. Again, no Wi-Fi is required for everything to pair. The Vizio Elevate system comes with the most unique soundbar out there, a wireless subwoofer, and 2 tiny surround speakers. Now, I love the design of the soundbar. The grills on the soundbar and surround speakers look great, and the subwoofer has a cube-shaped design to it with a downward-firing subwoofer. The sections on the end of the soundbar will automatically rotate upwards when it detects Dolby Atmos or DTS:X content. It's really cool and by far the most unique feature I've seen on a soundbar. I love it. Unfortunately, you must connect the surround speakers to the subwoofer with the included speaker cables. The subwoofer then wirelessly connects to the soundbar. The Nakamichi Shockwafe Ultra system has the most number of components in our lineup. It comes with an interestingly shaped soundbar, 2 massive subwoofers, yes, 2 subwoofers, and 4 surround speakers. The surround left speakers connect to the left subwoofer, and the surround right speakers connect to the right subwoofer. The Nakamichi soundbar definitely feels the cheapest out of all the soundbars. It's very light and much smaller in comparison, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it's bad. The JBL Bar 9.1 system is quite interesting. It of course comes with the soundbar and a down-firing subwoofer, but the wireless surround speakers are extremely unique. The soundbar, subwoofer, and surround speakers are all a very nice dark gray color. The look and style of this system is definitely one of my favorites. The surround speakers magnetically dock with the soundbar to charge, then you can disconnect them and set them behind your main seating area like traditional surround speakers. When fully charged, they provide about 10 hours of playback and only take about 3 hours to fully recharge. I'm not entirely sure why they call it the JBL Bar 9.1 when it clearly isn't a 9.1 channel soundbar system. It's actually a 5.1.4 channel soundbar system. All of these soundbars have some way to display information to you. The Sonos Arc and Vizio Elevate do this through LEDs on the front. The others have physical displays that have some scrolling text to display various bits of information to you. My favorite is either the LG or the JBL. Both of their displays work very well and look very nice. Nakamichi's display isn't half bad either. The Sonos Arc's LED doesn't really provide any information, so it's probably the worst, but at least it has a nice clean design to it. The Samsung Q950T's display, on the other hand, is practically useless because it's on the very top of the soundbar. Not really sure what Samsung was thinking here. I want to go over the connections and audio codec support for each soundbar system really quick, because these things are all very important and may affect whether you can use it fully with your current setup or not. All of this info will be on screen, but let's talk about the important bits. Every soundbar has HDMI eARC except for the Nakamichi. Unfortunately, it only has HDMI ARC. But luckily, it does have 3 HDMI inputs, which is the most out of any of these systems. The Sonos Arc is the only one that doesn't have any HDMI inputs. So if you don't have an eARC compatible TV, then you won't get the most out of this soundbar. You will need to use the HD Fury Arcana in order to get Dolby True HD, which is uncompressed Dolby Atmos, to the soundbar. Every other soundbar has at least 2 HDMI inputs, except for the JBL, which only has a single HDMI input. All of these HDMI inputs support both 4K pass-through and Dolby Vision, with the Samsung also supporting HDR 10+. Keep in mind that some of these will likely change with future firmware updates. Most of these have inputs other than HDMI available, but you should always use HDMI to make sure you're getting the best audio quality possible. Now for the audio codecs. Every single system supports Dolby True HD, which is again uncompressed Dolby Atmos. And every system except for the Sonos Arc supports DTSX. If you aren't familiar with these terms, Dolby Atmos and DTSX are 3D object-based surround sound codecs. They're mostly known for adding in overhead sound effects, so things like helicopters, explosions, and other things like that can feel even more real when using these audio codecs. And all but the Sonos Arc and Samsung Q950T support some form of LPCM. This audio codec is typically provided from Blu-rays and some gaming consoles. So the biggest loser in this area is the Sonos Arc, because it doesn't support DTSX or LPCM, or at least at this current time. And it also doesn't have any HDMI inputs. This is all very surprising because Sonos Arc is actually one of the newest soundbars in our lineup. Very odd that they didn't include these things when designing the soundbar. All of these soundbars come with remote controls except for the Sonos Arc. You can adjust any and all of its settings through the Sonos app. The Vizio Elevate's remote is by far my favorite because of its backlit LCD display that's built into it. It makes it very easy to cycle through inputs and adjust settings, even with its simple LED array on the front. The LG, JBL, and Samsung remotes are clean and simple, nothing to call home about. Then the Nakamichi's remote is massive and has a ton of different buttons on it. It's awesome that you can adjust many different settings with it, but you'll definitely need to read a portion of the user manual to actually understand what everything does. Also, you shouldn't have any issues with programming universal remote control to work with these soundbars. They all should work with CEC as well. So you should be able to use your TV's remote or even your media player's remote to simply adjust the volume levels. Here's what the buttons look like on all of the soundbars. They all have relatively the same controls except for the Sonos Arc. The Samsung, Vizio, Nakamichi, and JBL all have physical clicky buttons, while the Sonos Arc and LG have touch capacitive buttons. Now for mobile app support. I'll keep this really short. The Sonos app is by far the best and most user-friendly. TruePlay Tuning, which is their room audio calibration software, works extremely well. The Samsung app is okay, but limited in what you can control. No automatic tuning. The LG connects to Google Home and has its own app. There's lots of settings you can adjust in the LG app and has an AI room calibration option, but I didn't notice a big difference after using it. The Vizio app is kind of clunky, it takes forever to initially set up, and the instructions aren't super clear. Overall, it doesn't work the best, but at least it has an app. And the JBL and Nakamichi do not have any app support. The JBL does connect to Google Home though, so you are able to cast audio to it through Wi-Fi. Along with mobile app support, let's discuss the available voice assistants for each soundbar. The Sonos Arc is the only one that supports both Amazon Alexa and Google Assistant. The Samsung supports Alexa, and the LG supports Google Assistant. The others offer no support for either. The Vizio does have an aux VA port that you can connect an Echo Dot to, but I'm not really counting that because it's not native support. If one of these soundbars is piquing your interest, be sure to check out the individual review for that system after you finish this video. I go much more in depth about each aspect of the soundbar on my individual reviews. There are links to these videos in the description down below, so again, make sure you check them out after this video. Now for what a lot of you have been waiting on. Let's discuss music sound quality. I will not be providing any audio comparisons. Here's why. YouTube heavily compresses audio, and even if I had microphones capable of recording the slight differences in each system, there's absolutely no way that you're going to be able to hear these slight differences on a YouTube video through your speakers or headphones. It just doesn't work like that. So it's a waste of both my time and your time to include audio comparisons or sound tests. If you really want to know what each system sounds like, then try to listen to them in person. Otherwise, I'd suggest getting multiple people's opinions on the systems that you're interested in. So starting off with the Nakamichi Shockwafe Ultra. This is the only one that cannot be casted to, and you have to use Bluetooth or another connected device to play music to it. Anyways, my first impression is that the sound is kind of muffled from the soundbar itself. The subwoofers are very strong, as they should be, because they are the largest and there's two of them when every other system only has one. By default, music doesn't sound very good with this system, but if you press the S or stereo button on your remote control, you can change it to all channel stereo mode. Both surround speakers on the left will be dedicated to the left channel of audio, and the same for the right side. If you have the surround speakers positioned correctly and you've done some adjusting of the EQ levels, it's a wonderful listening experience. For the LG, I was kind of let down when listening to music. It doesn't seem to have a lot of clarity or oomph to it, like at all. The soundbar itself sounds pretty flat and isn't very appealing. The subwoofer has some kick to it, but it's not as clear as you'd hope it would be. The surrounds are playing in ambient mode, which is nice, but it would be nice to adjust the volume levels of the surrounds separately when playing music. Changing the sound effects to music improves it slightly, but overall, I just wasn't impressed, especially at the price of the system. Very disappointing. The JBL definitely surprised me with its music sound quality. Music has a full and inviting sound to it. The subwoofer is quite impressive at medium volumes and even better at higher volumes. It seems to pick up some of the slack from the soundbar. The wireless surrounds provide enough ambience to improve upon the music that you're listening to, but aren't overbearing in any way. The only downside about the JBL is that music doesn't fill the room as much as others due to the lack of directional channels on the soundbar itself. But other than that, I think it will surprise and impress most people. The Vizio and JBL were very close in comparison. The Vizio soundbar is slightly more clear and accurate than the JBL soundbar. However, the Vizio surrounds weren't as loud and as clear as the JBLs. And I'd prefer the Vizio Sub slightly more than the JBLs, but they're both great overall. I will say that casting with Chromecast takes forever to connect. There were some cases where I'd have to completely reboot the system in order for Chromecast to work properly. I didn't have this issue with any of the other systems. The Samsung definitely fills a room with music, and it's quite clear. The low-end frequencies from the soundbar itself sound the best out of our entire lineup, but the bass from the subwoofer is weak compared to all of the others. The mid-range seems to be extremely accurate even at very high volume levels. Overall sound is near the top of the list, better than the Vizio, but the subwoofer just doesn't do this system any justice. The soundbar itself is pretty darn impressive, but the subwoofer and surround speakers aren't impressive when listening to music. I'd like to see Samsung add an all-channel stereo mode like the Nakamichi to utilize the surrounds more efficiently. The Sonos Arc System is the best sounding out of all of them when it comes to music. Very crisp and clear sounding and can easily fill a very large room. Changing the surround speakers to full mode instead of ambient mode makes the system even better. The subwoofer is by far the most clear and gives the perfect amount of rumble that I can't see anyone complaining about, other than its price, of course. It's definitely my favorite system when it comes to listening to music. No doubts about that. Okay, now for surround sound quality. So here I use my NVIDIA Shield TV Pro and my Plex Media Server to test multiple Dolby True HD and DTS HD master audio files. The basic things that I was listening for were the clearness of the 3D sound bubble, bass response, and overall sound quality. Again, no audio comparisons here because they are essentially useless on YouTube. I promise. The Nakamichi Shockwafe Ultra soundbar itself just isn't as impressive as the others, but the subwoofers and surround speakers are what make this system so good. With this system set up and configured properly, it produces a very immersive 3D sound bubble, and you can easily immerse yourself into whatever you're watching. The subwoofers are punchy, and the surrounds provide plenty of volume and clarity to the environment. Because it has 2 more surround speakers than every other system, the surround effects and 3D sound bubble can be much more convincing than others. However, the surround speakers aren't as clear as some of the others. I'd say that they're near the bottom of the list, right above the Vizios. Overall, I very much enjoyed watching Dolby Atmos and DTSX content with the Nakamichi. It really did surpass my expectations. The LG SN11RG definitely fell short of my expectations. I expected to get a heck of a lot more than you get from the system. It easily fills the room with sound, but not once did it give me goosebumps when listening to music or any movie. Keep in mind that every other system made me say wow to myself somewhere along the way. The LG did not do this. It has its moments where it's pretty impressive, then moments where it's kind of difficult to hear and makes me want to change back to one of the other systems I was testing. It's nice that it has the widest front soundstage, but it's nowhere near as strong or clear as the Samsung or Sonos Arc. The subwoofer also has its moments, but it's not consistently good. It kind of feels and sounds muffled when listening to certain scenes in movies. The JBL Bar 9.1 will surprise most people and satisfy the want for 3D sound in a fairly compact system. While the sound may not be as clear as the Samsung or Sonos Arc, it's still very capable of filling an entire room with sound without distorting or making anything sound off. It's not quite as clear and effortless as the Samsung or Sonos Arc, but still very impressive. Again, the subwoofer is one of the best I've seen with a soundbar system. The upward firing speaker effects are quite impressive and convincing, even though half of them are coming from completely wireless and battery powered speakers. The Vizio and JBL are really close to each other. When comparing these, I really struggled to find the things that I like more about each system. Overall, I think the Vizio Elevate is slightly better than the JBL. The Vizio soundbar is slightly more clear and precise. There is some tinniness of the higher frequencies at higher volumes though, but it's not bad. The Vizio subwoofer has a little more punch and clarity to it. However, its surrounds aren't nearly as good as the JBL surrounds. The JBLs are surprisingly more clear and stronger, even though they're wireless and battery powered. The upward sound effects from the soundbar are very clear and strong though. Overall, its surround sound performance is very good at its price point. It's definitely impressed me. So the 3D sound is fairly convincing on the Samsung Q950T. It has better separation of channels than every other system because of its wider soundstage and the fact that it's a 7.0.2 channel soundbar by itself. The bass is kind of impressive with some media, but it seems to be hit or miss. The soundbar has a crisp sound to it with relatively no muffling at all, even at high volume levels. Its upward firing speakers can help create a pretty impressive 3D sound bubble. The surrounds provide plenty of volume and ambience to the room. The upward firing drivers on the surround speakers perform the best out of our lineup. In all, it takes a little bit of adjusting to get it sounding the way you want it, but once you do, it's actually a very impressive system. However, it's not extremely reliable with how good it sounds. It has moments where it makes you think, wow, this system is absolutely incredible. Then other moments where it makes you think, what the heck was that? This may be something that Samsung can solve with firmware updates, but only time will tell. The Sonos Arc System is consistently great across the board. In a smaller to medium-sized room, the upward firing speakers perform very well. Bass is extremely strong and clear with no muffling whatsoever. The surround One SLs would have been perfect if they had upward firing speakers in them, but they do a great job of giving you just enough 3D sound to immerse you into whatever you're watching. I can see Sonos making surround speakers with upward firing drivers in them in the near future because of how successful the Sonos Arc and Sub are. I honestly have no real complaints with the Sonos Arc at all. The surround effects from the Samsung Q950T do perform better sometimes, but not consistently better by any means. There seems to be big drop-offs with the Samsung system as far as the overall quality goes. So now for my overall thoughts about each system, I've already mentioned pretty much everything that I like about each system, and I've also noted some of my dislikes as well. I do want to say that every single system in our lineup sounds great, except for maybe the LG. Still not very impressed with it. But all the other systems have really been exceptional in overall audio quality. That's honestly what has made this testing process so difficult, because I did enjoy listening to all these systems. It's been very difficult to pick out these small nuances and explain them in a comprehensive video. But I hope this video has done these systems justice so far. Anyways, about the Nakamichi Shockwafe Ultra 9.2.4 system. As I mentioned already, it has a lot of components to it. The soundbar, 2 subs, and 4 surround speakers. You will likely need a dedicated space for this system. I don't foresee this system looking good or working well in a very open room. 3 HDMI inputs are great, but no HDMI eARC, which can be a downside for some people. There's no casting through Wi-Fi, but you can connect a Chromecast audio to the auxiliary port if you like. Otherwise, you'll need to use Bluetooth. The soundbar by itself isn't impressive, but the system altogether provides a very immersive listening experience. Overall, for the retail price of $1,400, it's a very good deal compared to others. I definitely recommend this system if you have the space that will work for it. The LG SN11RG soundbar system did not live up to my or many people's expectations. The system looks clean. It has a very wide soundbar, the surrounds are stylish, the subwoofer looks better than most, it's super simple to set up, but it just doesn't perform well. The LG definitely let me down in both playing music and its surround sound capabilities. I expected a lot more than what I actually got for $1,500 retail. The JBL Bar 9.1 is one of my favorite systems overall. I love the design and aesthetics of this system. The wireless surround speakers are a very cool feature. I think this would be better for very open living rooms where someone may not want permanent surround speakers behind their seating area. So most of the time, you leave the surround speakers connected to the soundbar, then when you're watching a movie or TV where you want surround speakers, simply disconnect them and place them right behind or next to your seating area. I think it's a perfect solution for no cables and no speaker stands. The only downside is that there's no built-in voice assistant and that there's only a single HDMI input. Luckily though, it does have HDMI eARC. Overall, for the price of $1,000, this system sounds great and I wouldn't hesitate on purchasing it if it's in your price range. The Vizio Elevate is one of the most unique soundbars out there. The rotating speakers are an extremely cool feature that I think most people are really gonna like. The remote control is awesome and its LEDs on the front provide a lot of information even though it doesn't have a physical display. The soundbar itself sounds great and the subwoofer is very powerful as well. It's one of the strongest in our lineup. The only downside is its surround speakers. They are definitely the smallest and weakest out of the 6 systems that we've compared today. The Elevate has 2 HDMI inputs and HDMI eARC, so you shouldn't have any issues getting your high quality audio to it. Overall, I really like the Vizio Elevate. It's a very good system, and if you can get it for less than $1,000, I would jump on it immediately. I don't think you'll be disappointed. The Samsung HW Q950T is an impressive system with some downfalls. When the system is working properly, it's the best sounding system in our lineup. The soundbar itself is the most powerful and clear, the surrounds are alright, and the sub is alright as well. But altogether, it sounds fantastic. However, it's not consistently fantastic. Listening to music on it isn't impressive at all, and during some movies, I feel myself wanting more bass and a little more from the surrounds. But overall, the separations of channel and clarity is top-notch for a soundbar system. The price has ranged anywhere from $1,400 to $1,800. I think it's a fair deal for $1,400, but not anywhere above that due to its reliability issues. And lastly, the Sonos Arc System overall is the most reliable with how well it works and how great it sounds. You can expect it to perform very well pretty much all the time. The soundbar alone produces very clear and clean sound. It produces the mid-range and higher frequencies beautifully. The subwoofer by itself is by far the best. Not as much punch as the 2 Nakamichis, but it does produce the most clean low end overall. The One SLs are also great, no complaints about them whatsoever. The main downsides of the Sonos Arc system is the lack of HDMI inputs, lack of DTS and LPCM support, and the overall price. Altogether, the Sonos Arc system is the most expensive system in our lineup. For nearly $1,900, it better sound amazing and work all the time with relatively no issues. Again, if you're interested in any of the systems mentioned in this video, there will be links in the description to the individual reviews for each soundbar system. At the time of posting this video, not all of the individual reviews are up, but they will be posted over time. So if you aren't subscribed yet, make sure you click the subscribe button and ring the bell to make sure you're notified when I post these new videos. I know I didn't cover every single thing about these systems in this video, so if there's something of importance that I missed, make sure you leave a comment down below. And with that said, I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.